Hey there, I'm Kirsten Nichols, and this is Kids, Chaos, and Coffee. With over 12 years of experience in child development, working closely with thousands of kids in summer camp and after-school programs, I've got the inside scoop on parenting's beautiful chaos. So, grab your coffee, get comfy, and let's dive in. Welcome to another episode of Kids, Chaos, and Coffee. It's a delightful blend of caffeine and parenting insights. And I'm here today with Danny and Reagan.
Hi.
How are you guys doing?
I'm fantastic.
Great.
Good.
Yes.
Today we're going to go ahead and talk about basically millennials and Gen Zs as far as parenting goes. So we can kind of get Danny's perspective, and then Reagan and I are both millennials but on the opposite ends.
Yes.
So
Different ends of the spectrum.
Yeah, should be
a little bit of
interesting.
blur of everything. It'll be wonderful.
Before we jump into that, let's do a coffee check.
Okay, I got my 7 Brew again, and I got the same thing. I got a caramel macchiato with extra caramel.
You get the same thing.
Because you can't go wrong.
You can. It's solid.
It's a hit.
Okay, so I brought coffee from home. It's a medium roast with sweet cream. Yeah.
Just sweet cream, no flavoring?
That's it.
I like it.
Is it good?
We'll find out.
Fair.
I haven't drank any yet.
Oh,
Yeah.
Love it.
we're saving it.
I actually did a protein coffee this morning.
Oh, nice.
So homemade coffee and then vanilla protein powder and some almond milk.
That sounds good.
Does your cup say mom juice?
It does say mom juice.
I love that.
It's super cheesy and crazy.
I love
It was a gift from one of my co-teachers back when I was 7.
it. Okay,
Nice.
cool.
I love the
glitter.
sparkles.
Yeah.
Yes, very
She
cute.
made this for me when we were in Florida and we were going to Disney all the time. So I had a fun sparkly.
Oh,
I love it.
that was sweet. Anyway, so we're millennials, and then Danny falls under Gen Z, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm a Gen Z. I was
So-
born in 2001.
Yeah. So Gen Z is 1997 to 2012. So that is 11-year-olds all the way
I
up to
hate that I was stuck in there with 11-year-olds.
Actually in the same little millennial group or generational group as some of the 5th graders.
Yeah.
Because
See,
Jackson was born in
that makes me cry.
2013.
I don't like the sound of that, but
Okay, so obviously we're talking about parenting though, so we're probably not talking about 11-year-olds. We're probably
Yeah.
talking more
yeah,
your age group.
Yeah.
So
the older side of it.
yeah.
I think it'll be interesting to see your take on what you see in children and how different all the kiddos are,
Yeah,
opposed to like what you grew up with and what your experiences were. Because
yeah.
it's crazy right now because
It
everybody is really falling into their own, like they either revert back to, well, I got spanked when I was little and I turned out just fine, as they're screaming at a small child.
Right.
Because,
Yeah.
you know, that's all the tools that we were given.
Right.
And then some people don't know what gentle parenting is, which, hi, I love it. And they confuse it with permissive parenting, which permissive parenting is worse than authoritative parenting, in my personal opinion.
Yeah.
I got opinions on this stuff.
Good.
I've seen a lot of stuff. It's crazy.
We'll get
I
into
love
it.
that.
For sure. So we'll focus on generations. So Reagan, I guess we'll start with your upbringing. Like what's been your experience, and then how did that translate to how you're parenting now?
I was raised gentle / permissive style,
Mhm.
but also I was a super good kid, complete people pleaser, but I was the first grandchild and completely doted upon. But I also
I was
wanted to
kind of
make
the same.
everybody happy, so I never got in detention, never got in trouble.
Same.
Always had good grades. Everybody always
Yeah.
little perfects.
Right.
Firstborn.
Mm-hmm.
My sister got in some trouble, but still overall, but we grew up in
Yeah.
middle class, upper,
Mhm.
depending on where you are. But
Yeah.
so we had a lot of benefits, which I think probably made my opinion skewed in some regards. And my grandparents live here down the road, and I got to grow up riding ponies every weekend.
Yeah,
in
that's
my
cool.
kids. So a lot of things that probably helped contribute to my little childhood, little fairy tale stuff.
Mhm.
But because I didn't get in trouble, I didn't really learn boundaries well.
Mhm.
And I think that's something that I've been trying to teach my kiddos is it's okay to say no.
Right.
It's okay. You don't have to give everybody a hug. You don't have to, if you don't like something, it's okay.
Yeah.
So just lots of little things that I've seen, and it's like no major changes. Because overall, my parents, I think, did a really good job.
Mm-hmm.
So there's things that definitely little pieces that I'm trying to fix with my children.
Right.
But they're like little things.
Yeah, for sure. I would say kind of similar, maybe a little more. My parents might have been a little more authoritative.
Yeah.
I definitely got spankings like as a little kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did get those. For me, it's I guess I'm more of a gentle parent. Like I'm more that
sure.
way. Yeah, because I've maybe spanked Rolo twice.
Well, both my boys have each been popped in the mouth once on accident because they bit me in True Blood, and I didn't.
Oh, it's just an
mean to.
instant
True Blood.
Yeah.
Oh,
my
I'd
God.
be popping so much.
I didn't mean to. I
be popping my
apologize
head.
right away, but True Blood through genes. It was like just it was like
Oh.
yeah.
Ooh.
I mean,
Like,
to be
how old were
fair, I didn't give him a lollipop.
They were 10. No.
No, it was like last week. Yeah.
Oh,
It was
no.
karate day. I didn't let him do karate.
Oh,
He was
my
so
gosh.
mad. No, they were both barely 2.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
well,
tantrum, just
Right.
just little balls of energy.
Yeah.
And that's actually I think the face that Jackson made before he bit me. So it's
Sure.
fine. I remember it.
So I feel like I can kind of be a little bit of a hothead, so I like purposely try to be aware of that.
yeah.
You know, so if Rolo's
That's
doing
awesome.
something, sometimes I will literally just walk out of the room and go sit in another room by myself
Mhm.
for a minute till I feel like I'm okay.
Yep.
And I'm not gonna like scream at him or something.
Yep.
It doesn't happen as much anymore, but when he was like maybe 2 and he's like testing boundaries and everything
Yeah.
and like figuring out what he can do.
Yeah.
Oh. So
That's not fun.
I think for me it was just more about like I don't really want to spank and I don't know, I just wanted to do a few things differently, you know. Be more aware of his feelings, kind of like what you said, they don't have to hug somebody if because I do remember like getting in trouble for not like hugging random great aunt or
Right.
you know, something like that. And I'm like, I don't even know this old lady.
Yeah.
It's a
But
strange
you're like,
I don't wanna hug
you better
you."
hug her, you know, like whatever it is, like get over there, don't be rude, hug her.
Yeah.
I didn't want to be like that because it was uncomfortable, especially for me. I was like a shy kid, so like that was like my worst nightmare
Yeah. I was
as a
yeah.
child. So I try to not like push stuff like that on him, and then like and sometimes he just doesn't even want to hug me, and like
Right.
that's fine.
Yeah.
Or I'm fine with that, you know, like it's totally fine. He doesn't have to hug his grandparents if he doesn't feel like it. Most of the time he wants to,
Yeah.
but if he does, it's because he wants to, not because I'm like, you better get over there and hug them right now.
Yeah.
It's huge.
So, well, I mean,
Huge,
now.
huge
that,
thing.
I mean, that's
It was a real
people are like
thing.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
I don't. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of how I grew up, like having that.
Forced.
Yep.
No boundaries.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
So I don't know. I just think it's important
It's
to.
important.
So I just try to be more aware of his feelings, I guess. Yeah.
I grew up similar, but kind of different. So I lost my dad when I was 6, so I don't really remember much before I was 6, honestly, because I feel like I've blocked a lot of that out. So, like, I remember bits and pieces of my childhood, like, during that time, but I don't remember a lot of it, because I think that's just, like, the trauma of it.
Yeah.
But from 6 on, my mom was a single parent, and we moved to Kentucky from Colorado. And so my childhood was very chaotic, I feel like, in my mind. And again, I feel like I blocked a little bit out, but my mom did a great job raising us. I don't think she was a strict mom. I think that she was a scared mom because she was juggling raising her kids and then also navigating how to be both mom and dad and being a single parent and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So now that I look back on it, I think she did an amazing job. In the moment, I mean, me and my sister were both really good kids. We never got in trouble. My sister struggled in school. She got pulled out to be homeschooled for a little bit. Yeah, but that only lasted, I think, for like one school year, and then she actually ended up coming back. But yeah, we were both kids. We never really got in trouble. Obviously, I had my rebellious high school phase, like everybody does. But yeah, I don't think my mom was was strict in any way. Like I said, I think she was just like a scared mom of like messing up. But going back to, I was also a very, very shy kid. Like, I would hide behind my mom's legs whenever, like, even, like, family members like, I should not be scared of. I was so shy with them, and I don't think, again, I don't remember a lot of it, but I don't think she ever forced us to, like, physically touch or, like, hug or whatever, family members or friends. I think she was very good with that. And I think the way that she was raised was probably how you guys were raised. Like, she was probably forced to, like, hug family members and all those things. So I think she did a good job not, like, continuing that with us.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I had a good childhood.
And my parents were not strict either.
Yeah.
Like, at all. I know I said, like, you know, there might have been yelling or spankings or whatever, but, like, especially when I was in high school, compared to my friends' parents, my parents were the most chill parents that, like, I knew.
Yeah.
I didn't really have rules.
I think I thought she was strict until I actually saw what strict was, and I was like, oh, like, she was not strict at all.
Yeah. I never felt like my parents were strict. I never had rules. We had pretty open communication. Some of it was, like, unspoken. Like, if there was partying in high school, it was more of an unspoken thing, but I'm sure they were aware of it.
Yeah.
I mean, because they were, I don't know what they thought. We never talked about it. But there's no way they didn't know. But, like, I would also tell them, like, oh, I'm going to this party tonight. Like, so in some regards, we were pretty open.
Yeah.
And they would just be fine with it, and then I'd say, I'm going to my friend whoever's house afterwards and stay the night there. So, like, we were, as long as, like, they kind of knew what was up or where I was, like, they were fine with it. So I feel like that's partly why I'm a fairly chill parent and pretty laid back, maybe more so than some people think I should be, but, I mean, it worked for me, you know, and so I don't really, and then I see Seth, his parents were pretty strict with him.
Yeah.
Seth is my husband, if y'all don't know, and from my understanding is, you know, the strict parents, the kids just kind of learn how to be sneaky. They still do things, you know, like.
And I think that's such a huge thing. Like, if you are just honest, like, as a parent, if, like, all you expect from your kids is honesty, then I feel like kids wouldn't be as rebellious as they are, because if you, like, all you expect from them is just to be like, hey, like, where are you going? I want to know that you're safe. Like, give me your location.
Yeah.
And then, at least that's how I feel like it would have been.
Well, see,
that's
how it was for me. My parents were really chill, and I could kind of do whatever. There was essentially no rules. When I look back, I never had, like, a curfew or anything, you know?
Yeah.
I would be gone for, like, a week sometimes. And, like, they would know where I was. Like, it wasn't like I was just disappeared. It was, like.
How old were you when you were gone for a week?
I was a teenager, like.
You just,
16.
Like, houses?
It's like, yeah.
Oh.
Like, my friend, like, my best friends at the time, like, it was kind of like I would live there.
Oh.
Like, different houses.
I was such a homebody. There's
and
no
my
way.
sister, same exact way. My
There's no
sister
way.
actually took it further than I did. She literally has lived with friends for like a year solid. Like, I mean, essentially has moved out. That was in high school. She's in college now, but.
That's crazy.
And my parents have always been chill about stuff like that.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's cool. Like, I don't think there's anything negative about it. I'm just thinking.
I know, it's
I'm just in shock. Like, I would never do that.
I mean, I guess it is extreme when I say it out loud like that, but to me, it's like normal.
You're like, what do you mean?
I mean,
Everybody
if
does
you
that.
had a tight knit community where every just kind of like, or like when I say community, I mean like your little friend group.
Right.
Like,
yeah. And I
you
was
felt
very
safe.
close with my friends. Like we were. I mean, back then in high school, like my friend group was like my family. And my family was too, but like it was like my family and my like extended family. Like all my friends' parents, I literally would call them like my second parents, my second set, my third set.
I wish.
Yeah, I mean I was really close with all.
I feel like
I'm
you were
still
that
really close with
family.
all of those friends and their parents even. You know?
That's what James and I want to be. That's kind of James and his friends were.
Yeah.
I definitely have attachment issues because of the way that I was raised. It was very much. Hang on.
You're good.
Oh, I was gonna say, I feel like we were that house growing up. Like, I never, like, went and stayed at
Oh,
my friend's
really?
house for a week.
They came
But,
to
like,
you.
we were that house where, like, because
Yeah.
luckily my best friend, we had, like, a wall. She was my next door neighbor. And we had, like, this brick wall that separated our houses.
Oh, that's
and, like,
cool.
it was so fun. And we were so close. And she would call, like, my mom, her second mom, and she was, like, at my mom's wedding, like,
Yeah.
everything. So I feel like we were that house. I never like
Yes.
because I was such a homebody. So.
And they would come to my house too. Like it was
Yeah.
pretty mutual, but sometimes I would go to their houses more because sometimes my friends' parents would be like, "You've been gone for 2 nights. Like you need to stay home tonight."
You need to come back.
But they were fine with me staying there, so then I would just go over there and we just
Yeah.
kept it going.
I love that.
Especially in the summer. Like if it was
Oh,
summer, I was like living in other places.
Like,
pretty
I will
much.
see you when school starts. I will not be home.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
No, I wish, like looking back, that's one of the things that I missed out on high school. So I know this is like more
Mhm.
like generational parenting, but we are talking about how we were
It's
raised.
fine.
And my parents, it's like they were welcoming of other people coming over, but like my friend's mom, a couple of them called her like Mama Kisco.
Yep.
And Mom's like, that's so weird. She's not their mother. And so she has those attachment issues, which I have. So it's always weird for me to be like, hey, like, I don't know, just like little cute nicknames and stuff. Like, I was so, I don't want to say shamed. It's just the way that people were brought up, just
Yeah.
more of a,
Yeah.
What's considered
Yeah, like-
acceptable and normal.
right.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, I kind of wish that I had like those little friendships. And I met people like that. And so now I'm much better with that
Yeah.
stuff from my college friend group because they were just awesome. We're still
Right.
friends.
Yeah.
Go hang out and with their families and get invited to Christmas parties and all that. But, like, my family was never one that was like, hey, we're having a Christmas party. I'm like, can I bring my friends? No, this is just for family.
See, I always grew up like bringing a friend or two, usually just one, like on every vacation we would go on.
That's
I
so
always
cool.
took friends.
Really?
Yeah.
That
I
is
mean, not when I was like a little kid,
Yeah.
but
yeah.
as soon as I was like teenager, I always had a friend with me.
How do you guys
Yeah.
How do you guys feel as parents about like sleepovers? Because I feel like that's a big, and I feel like that
It
ties in with
is.
generation.
It does.
I think it does.
Because I know I feel like Gen Z
Mm,
parents
That's a good question.
don't find it acceptable, and I don't
Yeah.
think I would be comfortable.
Okay, well,
Depending
first of all,
on how well you know.
I was gonna say, I think it
like not
depends.
family. Well,
Not family?
I get, but family food is bad too.
Yeah.
But like not his grandparents. Like if he like had a friend at school.
I am not to that age yet.
Yeah.
I will say, from my experience, when I was like literally 4 or 5, so like basically Rollo's age, I can remember my next door neighbor was my best friend at the time,
Yeah.
and we had sleepovers all the
all
time,
the
and he was
time.
a little boy,
Really?
and we had sleepovers all the time, and it was not weird.
Yeah.
No, it's not. We're 5,
Yeah.
but like. Yeah, I'd sleep over at his house, and then he'd sleep at mine, and I mean, it happened. We were best friends though when we were like 5, 6.
Yeah.
Right. I feel like then it was normal, but
Right.
there was stuff going on that now.
So
A lot of parents
yeah, I mean,
are scared.
It's hard.
it might have been different because like they were kind of friends with my parents as well.
Yeah.
Like I know we all would eat dinner together sometimes, not often, but I
Right.
can think of a few times where we all would get together.
Yeah.
And so I think maybe it was okay because like the parents knew each other, and so they felt comfortable. Plus we were next door neighbors.
Mhm.
Right.
So like if something had happened, it was just you
Yeah.
could walk across the yard and you're back
Yeah.
home.
I've seen a lot of parents say that they don't let their kids like stay the night with anybody until they're old enough to like talk and tell you like what's going on. Like if something like were to happen.
Those
I-
conversations,
This is hard.
It's off topic, but I was just like curious.
No, I think it's
That's a great
related. Yeah, it's kind of hard. Rollo has, which you said not family, but Rollo has been staying the night with family since he was like 8 months old.
Yeah.
So, like, as far as that, he's already used to that.
But if it's people that you really trust, like
Yeah, it's always
your
been
mom and dad or
my,
his
yeah,
or
it's always
mom
his
and dad,
grandparents. I'm fine with them anytime. I mean, he's stayed like a week
Mhm.
almost,
Yeah.
with
So the boys-
grandparents and stuff because we travel a lot for work and just different things. But I guess like a friend, I don't. Rollo's not to that age yet.
But
I
when
don't
he does
know.
get to that age,
I don't.
But I think it
know.
also-
Grandparent vibes.
I know. Yeah, I think it just depends on the situation.
I think
and
I need
who
to.
They are.
I have to know the vibes of the person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I will say I am kind of more chill, so more than likely I'd say yes.
Yeah.
Jackson's slept over at a friend's house before, and then we just had a little boy sleep over at our house.
Mhm.
The sleepover was with his little next door neighbor best friend, so it was literally
Yeah,
next door.
makes it easy.
Yes, and we
Yeah.
knew the mom pretty well. We knew the dad. We like him, felt
Yeah.
comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And then with the little boy that just slept over a couple weeks ago, We met the family, and because they came to Jackson's birthday party, and like they came and hung out for a little bit, chit chat, so that made me feel comfortable. A couple of the other parents just like literally kicked their kids out of the car and drove off.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, maybe not literally, but it felt
that's
like
kind of
it.
how I grew up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like, hey, we're here, bye.
Yep.
And yeah, so that was
That
fun.
would probably be me.
But they came and like chit chatted, and we had and then he went and he's played at my parents' house once or twice over the summer with Jackson. So we've had several interactions with them, and the little boy's like super sweet, tons of manners. And so he came and spent the night, and they came over first for a little bit and hung out and chit chatted, and he had the parents' number, and he said they've done several sleepovers before, because I texted her and I was like, do people do sleepovers? And
Yeah.
she was like, yeah. And I was like, okay, Jackson would like to have Caleb over. And she's like, oh, that'd be awesome. He'll be so excited. I'm like, okay, cool. I don't know how this works. You have my number. Like,
Yeah.
and so it was, I mean, it had fun.
See,
But I think it just takes the right person.
so I grew up
Yeah.
and sleepovers were like a part of life.
Yeah,
Right.
same.
I feel like it's not anymore.
Seth told me when we were talking about like his childhood, I think
Mhm.
he said he maybe had one sleepover his whole life, and I thought it was so weird.
Yeah.
I was like, what do
I
you
did also
mean?
too. Like,
I
At
didn't
least
have a
twice a
lot,
month.
but I think it was because me, like I was that kid who I would go to your house and then I would cry and go home.
I always like got annoyed with those kids.
That was-
I was always so
That
annoyed.
was
I was
me.
like, what's wrong with you? Like, we're just chilling.
it's
Yeah.
just a ghost in the corner.
But a
Leave it
long
alone.
time, I only had sleepovers with like the same like friend group. Like it
Yeah,
wasn't like
right.
random people, and those friends would always fall asleep first, and then I would just be like sitting there in the dark.
Were
and
you,
I'd
like,
be
hungry
so
or something?
Scared. No, I was
Oh,
terrified.
one
No.
time I did leave a sleepover because I was like 5 and I was hungry and everybody had fallen asleep and I was too shy to like I think talk to an adult.
See, I would
So I
fake
think I did-
stomach aches.
I
would
think
do
I
all
did
of
go
it.
home, but I was really just hungry.
Yeah.
It's the only time I ever left a
See, no,
sleepover.
I was scared. I was like, Mama, come get me now.
I had one little girl. I loved her toys. This is the vain little thing. She had great toys,
Yeah.
and not that I didn't have any toys. I had the Barbie Dream House. Like I had all the things. But it's new toys. I
Yeah.
mean, she had like an air hockey table. We always had a lot of fun, but she had a giant grandfather clock,
Mm-hmm.
and it
Yeah.
just ticked
Mhm.
all night. So it was dead silence
Yeah.
minus the ticking. And I think it was like 3 times I tried to sleep over, and it was like midnight. I'm like, I need to go home. And so the parents were like,
Yeah.
no, you can't sleep
That was
over.
scary.
Oh. As far as sleepovers, you know, thinking back, if there was anything sketchy that ever happened, like in my own experience, I had one friend who we would go. I mean, like this is how relaxed things were. I had my friends, and we would go sleep like at Uncle's house. Danny's looking at me like I'm
Yeah,
crazy.
yep.
This was normal though. Like it was.
Yeah, that's
But we
The
would go.
friend's uncle.
Yes, like so her aunt and uncle's
See,
house.
that's not okay.
You know, actually, I take it back. I don't think we stayed the night, but we would go hang out over there. And uncle was a little creepy.
yes, they do.
It was the creepy.
Nothing
uncle.
ever happened. The sketchiest thing that ever happened was like he would take us riding on 4-wheelers. She's giving me this look, y'all.
I love it.
He would take us riding on 4-wheelers like one at a time.
Okay,
Oh.
you were making it worse.
Yeah, it's just getting worse.
As you talk, it just keeps getting worse.
It was just like we would go back on trails. Nothing ever happened. He was
Yeah.
never like, he never did anything, right? But like we were all like
But he could
cognizant
have.
enough to be like, this feels creepy.
Yeah,
You know.
something's not right.
And I don't think we ever said it to like my friend, like whose family it was.
Yeah.
It was like me. There was 3 of us, so it was like
Yeah.
me and the other friend were like, this seems a little weird.
This
isn't right.
sketch.
Start up.
But other than that, nothing. I never had any sketchy
These parents,
experiences.
let's just not give our kids the opportunity to be in that situation. Okay.
Now I will say.
Did your parents know that you were going to the sketchy uncle's house, or did they think that you were at your friend's house?
I'm sure they knew. I don't think they thought he was sketchy, and I still know this man.
Oh.
But
The sketchy uncle?
uh-huh. Yep. And yeah.
Some people are just sketchy and they're good
Yeah.
people, you know?
I don't. Yeah,
But you
like
can never be too
nothing's
careful
ever
nowadays.
happened, so he might have just gave off little weird vibes.
Yeah, maybe
Sometimes
it's
people
cool.
do that on accident.
Yep.
Sometimes their personality are just a little.
He's always been nice. Like nothing's ever, you know.
Yeah.
But it was
Okay.
just. I just remember like it was a weird thing we were
Just
like
like-
kind of talking about in the moment.
Yeah.
Like, this is weird.
Yeah.
Like. But
I think going off that, discussing boundaries and body parts with kids is boundaries are important to teach your kids and teaching them the proper names for all their body parts, which is, I think, a good thing that Gen Z is doing and the baby millennials because I wasn't taught. Yes,
baby
you
millennial.
are a baby millennial. Maybe just right there on the top. I was not taught the proper names for anything.
I wasn't either.
I
No,
don't think I was.
Yeah.
If I was, I don't remember.
Yeah.
No, kind of related. Did your parents give?
No. I'm assuming the answer is no.
Yeah, like did they have like bird and bees talk with
Nope.
you
No,
or like
absolutely
inform
not.
you on anything?
No.
Same. No,
It's,
nothing. I
you
figured
know-
it all out. Everything
I
else.
already knew, everything, I think, from social media.
Or even
school
like
and-
Nope. I
like
lived in
the
a
first
little
time you got your
people
period
home.
or like something like that.
Yeah.
Did you know anything?
What it was?
Anything? Were you informed? Had your
I
parents like
was-
told you anything about it?
Vaguely informed, mostly from school.
I don't think I was told anything.
I was.
That's terrifying.
I think I knew like what
I
it
can't
was, you
Yeah.
know, but I don't remember like my mom having a conversation with me.
Yeah.
I think I did tell her like when it happened.
Yeah.
And then she like threw
Yeah.
some stuff at me, and then
Right.
I went and figured it out. But
Right.
even then, she wasn't like,
Oh my gosh.
you use it this way and da da
Right.
da.
I had an older sister, so I think that helped. And my
That
friends
seems like it
also
would
got it before I did.
I was the first one.
Really?
Yeah.
That's terrifying. I'm so sorry.
I know.
We just didn't talk about it. It was not a thing you talked about.
Yeah, you
And
felt like you
so-
couldn't be open about it.
Yeah, you couldn't be open about it. It was a gross thing that happened to you,
Yeah.
and it's gross, and so you just don't talk about it because it's not appropriate to talk about. So that's one of.
And
I
that's
grew up
something-
in like the shutdown.
I was
age.
a shy kid, so I would have never brought something up first, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
and I
probably
s-
wouldn't either.
Wouldn't carry pads out in public or
Oh, I was
anything. Oh,
terrified.
terrified to use tampons
You know,
forever because I thought that was.
Looking back, actually, my mom bought me like some kit. Some like, I guess it was like your first time,
Wait,
whatever.
That's cute.
You guys know.
But she didn't talk to me. I think it had instructions in it, so it was kind of
Here.
like, here.
Here and run away really fast.
The
I forgot about
American
that.
Doll,
They had
Book?
the body book.
the body book.
The
Yeah.
body book.
I did not get that. My
My
cousins got it.
sister had it, and I swear that was more educational
What
than
is
anything
that?
I'd ever learned at school.
I didn't have American Dolls.
I did
didn't
not
either, but we had the
Oh.
book. It
I
was
don't
like
know what we're talking about.
it was really actually educational,
It
but
just
it was
told
like
you about
for
your
girls.
body or something?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
Oh.
for girls' bodies, and it showed
Oh.
like diagrams about like putting in tampons.
Really?
Like,
Yeah, it's like incredible.
it's really cool.
And like talks about body hair
Oh.
and like that you don't have. I think it was like you don't have to shave. You don't want
Yeah.
to. Like it was like very pro.
Really?
Like,
Yeah.
woman, like, it
Oh,
was
I
actually
had
really
nothing
cool.
like that. That would have
I'm
been
glad you
helpful.
agree because I feel like it was like
Yeah.
a fever dream, but now I know it's
No,
not
no.
real.
You, both my cousins had one. I think my older cousin had
What?
the American Girl
Did
one.
everybody have this?
Apparently.
Apparently.
I don't
didn't.
think any of my
I didn't
friends
get that.
did.
It skipped your little
Yeah.
generation.
What in the
Well,
world?
right?
You got in like the American Doll lull period.
Yeah.
I didn't
Like,
have. That wasn't.
Because
A,
they did phase out for a while.
yeah,
and then they
no, we
came
didn't.
back.
That was not a
We
thing.
didn't have the dolls, but we did have the
How much older is your sister than you?
2 years?
So that would
sometimes
make
3.
because there was an absolute lull in American Girl dolls. They dropped off in popularity, probably right around your birthday.
We
Probably.
had the knockoff.
Yeah.
I feel like I remember my sister talking about them, so I
Yeah.
think they were things for her.
Probably.
Yeah.
They were very expensive though.
They still are.
Like if you were
Well,
knockoffs-
you know, also that could be why I didn't have one
same. Yeah.
when I was little.
I got the knockoffs, which were just as good.
I got the dolls that you could feed with food, and then they
I
would
had
poop.
brats growing up.
See, my friends had brats, but I never had brats because I think my mom was against brats.
Why? What's wrong with brats?
I don't know.
They're
I had
so
Other than the
cool.
big heads.
And the big
I had
heads and the tiny
Barbies.
clothes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think we did more brats than
Yeah.
Barbies.
I feel like you were either a Bratz girl or a Barbie girl.
I was a brats girl.
I was a Barbie girl. My mom
I-
also was a Barbie girl, so that's why we were.
Was too old for both. No, I
See,
like
me and my
Barbies, but-
cousin, we went hard for the brats. Every Friday night we would get together and we'd have sleepovers. Sleepovers were like
a whole
a
thing.
staple in my
yeah.
life.
Yeah.
Which that was family, but we would buy all kinds of brats and literally every Friday night we were playing with brats.
I love that.
So this is kind of jumping back to Gen Z, but Danny, I know you're not a mom yet, but you know, one day probably.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah. How do you feel like you're gonna parent your kiddo?
Oh gosh. I don't want to get canceled. I think that I will use a lot of what I got from my mom because I think she did a great job parenting us. And I feel like I won't be like the typical Gen Z parent because some stuff that typical Gen Zs I don't necessarily agree on. Everything.
Like what?
Like
Just put it out there.
Well, Gen Z I feel like is going against like the norms with like parenting norms, and they're very open-minded, whether that is religion or race or gender or politics, whatever it may be. The big thing with me is gender. That's a huge thing but I also am a Christian. I grew up in a Christian household, so I think that plays into
So you have
of
those
it.
values?
So, yeah.
Right.
But the good thing is that me and my boyfriend, hopefully we'll end up getting married and have kids together, we have the same values, which I think is very important. Because I feel like you're either on this side or this side with Gen Z. Like, you either are very passionate about the whole gender and that whole thing, and like, you know what I mean? I feel like I'm gonna get canceled, and I feel like I'm not gonna say a lot. I'm so scared. I think I will raise my kids to be the gender that they are born. If my kid grows up to be something different, I'm obviously not gonna hate them or disown them for that.
So you think a plate is a plate and a cup is a cup?
Yes, I do indeed. I think I think Gen Z, I've heard that they're going to have their kids and they're going to be they, them until they grow up to decide whether they want to be
I can't do
female
that.
or a male.
Sorry, I'll put it out there.
And I don't agree with that. I think I'm the complete
I think
opposite.
that's confusing.
Kids, my brain is not even fully developed yet, so giving kids that kind of responsibility, I feel like can be traumatizing, and I just don't agree with it. I also grew up Christian, so with the whole religion thing, I think I'm going to be very open-minded. I don't think I'm going to force religion on my kids,
Right.
but I think I'm going to like lay it out there. This is what I believe. This is what talking about. This is what I believe, and you get to decide. So I feel like I'm going to be a very open-minded parent.
Is there anything you will do or change as far as your parenting from how you were parented? Like anything specific that you're like, yep, I'm going to purposely do this differently?
I think the only thing that comes to mind is when I was little, I felt like not little, but school aged, I felt like I was scared to tell my mom certain things because I felt like I was going to be judged, and I don't know if she would have. I know she listens to this, so hey mom, but I don't think, looking back now, I don't think she would have judged me, or I think she would have been open to talk to me about them, but I was just scared because I know how she grew up and we were very religious growing up.
Yeah.
So I think with my kids, I'm going to just know that as long as they're honest and I want them to feel like they can tell me anything, and I want to be a safe space for my kids, and I never want them to feel judged for anything, whatever it is.
Yeah, same.
So I feel like that's really the only thing that comes to mind. I'm sure there's some other things.
How can you make sure that your kid feels like you're a safe space, though? Because like you said, your mom probably was or might have been, but you weren't even sure.
Yeah. That's a great question. I think just being honest with my kids, and I think sharing my past experiences with my kids, sharing like personal struggles that I have, maybe would help them relate and see that I'm like a human too, and I'm not like this big scary parenting figure. I don't know if that makes sense.
The big thing is listening to everything.
Yeah. Making sure that everything is valid.
Right.
Whether
even
I
the
agree
silly
with it or not.
stories, silly opinions, silly ideas. Jackson will talk to me about a lot of stuff, and he said a few little things. I'm like, okay, so I need to keep an eye on this. But he feels comfortable telling me things for the most part. Nobody's ever perfect.
Yeah.
And you do the best you can, but then sometimes you're just tired and you miss little opportunities. But modeling honesty, apologizing, even if it seems like it's something dumb, apologizing is a huge way to create a safe space. Like, you know what? That's what I do to the boys. Get upset, we're coming home, gotta make dinner, gotta do all this, gotta do all this. No, I can't talk to you right now. No, that's not important to me. Like this morning, Jackson was trying to play his games. And I said, buddy, you cannot play that right now. And he's like, but why? And I'm like, because that's not important to me
Yeah.
right now. This right now, getting out the door is the only thing that's important. He's like, but it's important to me. And I'm like, you know what? It is important to you. This afternoon, you can play that. You can do this, you can do that. But right now, our only responsibility is getting out the door.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter that this is important to you right now.
Yeah.
Because right now, this will not affect our day. This will actually make us late. And if I'm late, then that causes problems at work. And it's the whole thing. And then I can't pay for your iPad, can't pay for your internet, can't do all this stuff.
And I think that's amazing because I feel like a lot of parents make their kids not feel heard, and instead of explaining why kids can't do things, they're just like, no. And they're like, well, why? And you're just like, because I said so.
Yep.
I catch myself saying that, and I try
It's
to
so
correct.
hard.
Yeah, because
Oh
there's
my
sometimes where you're
gosh.
like, I don't want to explain every
Yes.
little thing, especially right now, because Rola's just in this why phase. Why?
Why?
Why? You know?
Yes.
Yeah.
And so sometimes I'm just like, because I said so, and then I hate it as soon as it comes out of my mouth. I'm like,
Yeah.
no.
But with like little things, okay. But if it's something like kind of bigger, I think
Yeah.
explaining that.
Well, and I know that seemed like a deviation, but like just because you're just like, I don't know how to do this. It's like those little pieces every day.
Yeah.
And then they know they can talk to you because you're going to tell them. And
Right.
it's not going to, if you make it a safe place where they know that they're going to hear no sometimes, and they're also going to hear yes, then they're going to have that expectation of, I don't know what the response is going to be, but they're going to explain the reasoning.
Right.
I also hate the why face. And it's so
Yeah.
hard because in my mind telling you, I'm like, well, all you have to do is like, well, what do you think, buddy? But when you're like 4 chores in and it's been the 57th why of the day,
Yes.
sometimes you just don't have it in you to say, what makes you think that?
Well, and sometimes
What-
he just
what's making
repeats
a tick
himself.
today?
Like, I'll
Yeah.
actually give him an answer,
Right.
and then he
it's
just
still
says it
why.
again. He's like, why? I'm like,
He
I
just
just
disregards
gave you
it.
the answer.
Yes.
I'm like, I literally just told you
But also
why.
when they're that little,
It's just
I know.
it's
like when they're a little bit older,
I
like
know.
Jackson's age, I
Yeah.
feel like especially at that age, it's important to
Right.
explain things.
Yes. Well, he can
Because
understand.
that
He can
sticks
comprehend more.
in
But
him.
Rollo is just like saying why to say why, which
Yeah.
sometimes he is wanting to know why, and you can tell like
Yeah.
it's
You
like,
can
it's like the
see
gears are turning
he's
in his head.
trying to
But then other times
understand.
he's just saying it to say it. And I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
He's wanting attention and
Yeah.
they don't understand that sometimes
Yes.
you don't get attention
I know.
Yeah.
and you can't have it.
Okay, guys. So I did look up some facts about our generations, and so I'll just kind of throw these out here, and I will provide the sources in the show notes for you guys if you want to look them up. But overall, it said that Gen Z moms feel less confident than the millennial moms, and I think this is just my opinion on this part, but I think maybe it's because of the age difference. Like Gen
Yeah.
Zs are still fairly young,
Yes.
and
Gen
so.
Z baby. Parents are
Yeah.
still babies.
Yeah, they're just starting.
So I think
out.
that's why Gen Z moms feel less confident.
I would think so.
Could be wrong, but
Social media is my opinion.
yeah, and we'll get to that, or we'll get to it now actually. Social media is the biggest external source of pressure for moms of both generations.
Yes.
Yeah, so
Absolutely.
for sure.
And the change of social media has been insane because I felt completely inadequate with Jackson because there was still social media. He was born 2013. Obviously, socials are there, but they were so different. You didn't have the moms now trying to break down all these norms,
Yeah.
which it is a lot of, and this is going to tie into your other one in just a few minutes, but
Yeah.
there weren't moms trying to break the norms and trying to create a safe place for everybody. It was
Mhm.
just, here's my adorable lunch that took me 47 hours to make my child. Oh, you just give him some Cheerios? So that's what I,
Yeah.
with Jackson, that was awful.
I think, especially with TikTok now, I mean, everybody's literally putting everything out there. Everything's on
literally
social
everything.
media. And especially if you're on like parenting TikTok or mom TikTok, which somehow I'm on those because I like to watch them.
Yeah.
But a lot of times, which I feel like it's gotten better now than it used to, but moms are just putting on like the perfect moments. Or
Honestly, I feel like that's Instagram more so than TikTok.
Yes.
really, I don't really get on Instagram.
Oh,
so
I don't
know.
either, but I feel like Instagram is like picture perfect everything, and then
Yeah.
TikTok is a little bit of everything. Like, might be perfect, might be messy, might be funny.
Yeah, which,
whatever.
like I was saying, I feel like it's better now because I feel
Yeah.
like they're showing like the raw moments or the moments that you're struggling because everybody
Yes.
struggles.
Instagram might be better, but I feel for like a long time it was like
It
they
was-
only showed like the highlights
The
and
good
everything was
parts of it.
perfect.
Yeah, and that
Yes.
will
And
really
that's not life.
Because that's all I
mess up
had
your
with Jackson.
confidence.
Facebook.
Especially as a mom.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's awful.
Okay, and then so this also said that millennial moms feel like they're better at modeling a strong work ethic than the Gen Z moms do.
100%. We do everything. We do everything all the time. Because
How do you
we're
feel about that?
awesome.
Any comments?
You're saying millennial moms feel
Yeah.
like?
Feel like, yeah, like overall they. So
Yeah.
basically, this was like a study, and they like did a survey
Yeah.
on millennial moms and Gen Z moms, and more millennial moms said they feel like they're modeling a strong work ethic, like they're good at it.
I don't know if I agree or disagree with that, but I think working from home now is much more common, especially with moms, because it gives them the opportunity to be home with their kids.
Yeah.
I don't really know. Like, I don't see why millennials would feel like
I still think it has to do with the age.
I think it's due to the age, and I think it has to do with the percentage of us that grew up with stay-at-home moms who
Yeah.
didn't work
Yeah.
versus now. Because I know, I know very few stay-at-home moms from the people that I graduated with, or if they do, they worked 5 or 6 years in their corporate world and then were able to stay home and now do other things. But I think that we were not given strong working women role models.
Yeah.
So my generation tends to go over the top with, please like me, we're doing this right? And so I think that's where a lot of it comes from. Is
Yeah.
just
I feel
trying
like,
to overachieve.
yeah, I feel like
Yeah.
part of it too is, it seems like it's becoming more common to wait later on in life to
Yeah.
have kids because they're like work focused or career
Yeah,
focused for a while,
absolutely.
and then having
yeah.
a kid maybe in their 30s,
Which is
Oh,
the
yeah.
way to
where
do it.
you know before,
And then-
used
Jackson
to.
was too early.
Yeah.
How old were you when you had?
Well, I was 27.
Oh.
You would think that I was 18
23,
based
so
on my mom's reaction.
I
but
was
that's
pretty
not
young,
it.
but
We were the first. My mom was 23 when she had me. And
I
not
felt
only
like a
did-
baby when I had my
Oh.
mom.
Because you were.
Yeah, I know.
But y'all are doing
Crazy.
great though. I feel
Thank you.
relationships help. Like,
Let's see. Okay, and then another one. Most moms believe it's important to be perfect, but even more so with Gen Z moms. 83% of Gen Z moms feel that way, compared to 76% of millennials.
if this is a current survey, I would think it's because we've given up as millennials. We're older. It's an age gap thing.
I think.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what you think,
Yeah.
Annie, but I think Gen Z moms are even more engrossed in social media than we are.
Yes.
Like,
Oh,
and
100%.
I'm in it a lot, but I feel like they
Yeah.
grew up with it.
I was doing like a little bit of research before
Uh-huh.
bed, not a ton, but I think it's crazy because Gen Z is I think this is right, is the first generation who doesn't know what it's not like to not have internet,
Correct.
Oh, wow.
which I think
I didn't
is
think about that.
just crazy.
I had dial-up as a kid.
Yep.
What is
Or-
dial-up?
Yeah. Does that need internet though?
Yeah, it's
So-
that is the internet.
Oh.
Okay.
So when I was
Point
a
for
kid,
me.
when I was a kid, we had not a laptop, a computer at home, like a desktop, a big one, a
Yes.
big fat one.
Yeah.
And when you wanted to connect to the internet, I don't remember exactly. I was so
It's
young, but you had to like
connected to your
connect
landline.
it. Yeah, it was connected to the landline, and when you wanted to be on the internet, you had to like click it, and as it was like connecting, it made this god awful noise.
Serotonin to my brain to hear that.
I'll have
and
to
to
find
hear
the
that
noise
AOL
and play it
welcome.
for you. And you couldn't use your landline when you were on the
Yes.
internet.
So
It was one or the other.
So you know how fast it is to download things now?
Yeah.
It would take hours to download stuff, and if someone called while you were downloading something, it stopped the download and the download did not happen.
It
Let me
start
tell you
all
how
over.
many things.
Oh my goodness.
But
Because-
this
yeah.
dial-up, it was just this noise you'll never forget.
No.
It's like, I feel
It
like I know
kind
the
of,
sound,
yeah.
but I
And then like the little sound of AOL, the mailbox, all that, it straight just brings me joy. Like it would like literally
Really?
elate me. I'm like,
I
oh my
hate that
god,
noise.
oh my gosh,
Nostalgia.
no, loved it. I was like,
Oh my goodness.
because that was like the excitement.
Yeah.
Because in 1997,
But you had to
yeah.
pick, like,
Yeah.
am I going to make a phone call? Like, if somebody's going to make a
Yeah.
phone call, you had to go get off the internet.
Yeah.
And so
or,
people
you
started
know.
having two lines,
Right.
two landlines, so they
Yeah.
could stay on.
That's crazy.
And it cost money. Like it was like a whole thing. It was weird.
So, anyways, yeah, you're
But-
a baby. You don't even know what that
Anyway,
is.
yeah.
It's fine.
So like I don't know what it's not like to not have internet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or like the
That's wild.
well yeah, that are older than me. But yeah, I think internet plays and social media is the factor too, because I feel like social media is, this could just be my opinion, but the biggest factor that like is why Gen Z is the way that we are,
100%.
whether it's positive or negative.
Yes.
Because my generation, I feel like, is all about comparison. Like, we're just
Yeah.
constantly comparing ourselves to what we see, whether it's good or bad.
Right.
So I think that's why it's important to be perfect, because they see perfect on the internet all the time.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, and then the last one I have is something that both generations have in common is both of their top parenting ideal is to focus on children's mental and emotional well-being, which I think is great.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Amazing.
so
Yes.
very cool. But I'll link those sources that I got this stuff from in the show notes. And this brings us to Little Lessons in Chaos. Today it's more of just a thought question. So, what do y'all think our kids' generation will criticize about our generation's parenting?
The ping pong style of parenting that's going on. So nobody can stick with a specific style, so it's going back and forth, and parents trying to do the best thing, but still falling back on what they were taught. So no matter how good you are, you still have those days. Like you said, when Rolo asked his 78th why question of the day, because I said so.
Yeah.
So, but I also think that because of technology, they will be able to bounce back from it quicker. I mean, just the amount of kids that we have, even here, going to therapy, and everybody being okay with their kids going to therapy.
Yeah.
When I grew up, it was, you're going to therapy? What's
Right.
wrong with you?
Yeah.
What do you mean your
Really
parents are
normalized now.
failures? Like, I probably needed therapy. I know my sister needed therapy.
I think everybody needs
Everybody,
therapy.
yes. thank
I
you.
was in therapy as a teenager, and it was like a school-based thing, so like I did it during school, and I was always terrified somebody was going to find out like where I was going, which
Which is
luckily the
awful.
office and whoever, like when
Yeah.
they would call me, they were very like discreet,
Yeah.
but I was always afraid people would find out what I was doing, and that I'd be judged or whatever for
See,
it.
that's
Which is so
awful.
sad.
Yeah.
But it's definitely normalized now, I think, which
Yeah.
is great.
Well, and I'm like working on getting Jackson into in-school therapy because he has just some different little things that are just tricky for parents to work through.
Yeah.
A lot of it just deals with coming to terms with having a little brother and just like jealousy issues.
Well, and sometimes parents are not the best ones to handle that.
Exactly.
So.
And like James is all on board with it just for little like coping techniques, because when you're in the middle of something that you don't understand and you already think that you're not getting favoritism for something,
Right.
which if you look at it from an outside perspective, it's not there. But he has it in that, so he needs an outside source to be like, hey, no, these things are happening. Oliver gets preference on this just because he's 5. You got the same exact treatment. Or to offset that, you get to go do this. And so it's just hard sometimes to get the tunnel vision.
For sure.
And so he wants to go. Like, he's excited. He's like, yeah,
Good.
some of my friends go. He's like,
That's
so-and-so
awesome.
kid, so-and-so kid goes, and here goes here. And
Mhm.
I think it's awesome.
That's cool. I didn't
So-
know anybody when I was in
Which is
therapy.
so
I didn't know
sad.
anybody. It wasn't talked about. I'm
Yeah.
sure there was some kids, but like
Yeah, I don't know anybody.
I didn't know anybody, so I definitely felt like I was, that weirdo.
Yeah.
Parents let you
Going to
go.
therapy.
Like, my parents are under the impression that therapy, all they did was blame your parents for everything.
Well, see, I really needed it. I don't.
Yeah.
It was mine was
Much
a little
needed.
more severe at one
Yeah.
point, so I needed it. I don't know.
I'm glad that they
I
got
don't.
you,
Yeah, I don't.
or supported it.
I didn't
not
have
you.
conversations with them about it, so like
Yeah.
I don't know what they were saying behind,
Right.
about it. But
Right.
I mean, yeah, I had it like twice a week
That's awesome.
for a couple of years.
That's awesome. And do you feel like it was actually helping you during the time where you?
Yeah, no, it was good. I looked forward to it.
That's awesome.
Yeah. It was good for me.
Big bro therapy.
Yeah.
So good for all of us.
I know. I've never been in therapy, but I think I need to go.
I think it's good for
I think
everybody.
Everybody does.
Yeah.
I think even if you feel like you don't need it, it's good for like maintenance.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's like to talk to somebody about something who doesn't know who you are, doesn't
Yes.
know.
Yes. Has
your
no
people.
preconceived
Oh, hold on.
notions.
That happened in the last episode. too.
Sorry, y'all. Still on a busy
It's
street
our
here.
11:30 emergency.
Yeah, literally.
But yeah. Well, y'all. Any final thoughts?
I think we're all doing the best we can.
Yes.
I do think it's tricky as social media is. I think overall it has so many good things in it. Speaking of therapy and parenting stuff, there's a lot of really good parenting blogs and
Mm-hmm.
TikToks that
Oh, yeah.
show how to cope with different issues.
Yes. Speaking of TikTok, follow us on TikTok.
Yay.
We're on there.
And I know we're all in like a Facebook mom group, so I feel like those platforms are really good, like supporting moms and
Gosh,
parents.
yes.
Because I'm
Love
not a
the
parent,
groups.
but yeah,
Yes.
they're very supportive in
Yes,
those groups. So
for sure.
find a parent Facebook group.
For sure. Absolutely. Be sure to follow us on TikTok and YouTube. Subscribe on YouTube. Give us 5 stars. You can listen to us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And I guess that's it. We'll see you guys next time.
See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.